Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Microeconomics Video 1 for Unit 2. We're going to cover concepts 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 in this very video, so let's get to it. 2.1 is demand. It's a review concept, so we'll go really quick through this. Again, you learn this in macroeconomics. It directly lines up with microeconomics. So here we go. The law of demand is very simple. When the price goes up, people demand less of something, so the quantity of demand falls. And when the price goes down, the quantity of demand rises. That should make some logical sense, right? In the event that something lowers in price, people are like, hey, that's more affordable. I'll buy more of that, and vice versa. Law of demand. That gives us our downward sloping curve. You might remember our discussion about milk. It's downward sloping because as price rises, the quantity demanded continues to fall and vice versa. Okay, remember, a change in demand is not the same as a change in quantity demand. The change in demand is a shift in the curve, while a change in quantity demanded is going to be caused by a change in price. So when price, for example, goes from $5 to $4, the quantity demanded rises from 10 units to 20 units. Very different than if I said, hey, people want more milk, and so this curve shifts to the right. That's a change of quantity demand at every single price. That's what a shift in the curve is. Remember your different shifters of demand. We have several of them. We have the shifter of taste. People want more milk, right? Or people want less milk for a variety of reasons. They just desire it more or they desire it less. If they desire it more, the curve is going to shift to the right. If they desire it left, it's going to shift to the left. Number of buyers, if more people are in the market for milk, it's going to shift to the right. If there are fewer people in the market for milk, it's going to shift to the left. Substitute goods. Let's say the price of almond milk goes down, and that's seen as a close substitute to regular milk. The price of almond milk goes down, then regular milk is going to seem less attractive, and so the demand for regular milk is going to fall. In other words, substitute goods can have a direct impact on the shift of the curve. Complementary goods have an inverse impact. If a complementary good like cookies goes up in price, cookies are more expensive. Well, I don't need as much milk because cookies are pricey. So the demand for milk is going to fall. So the price of cookies goes up, the demand for milk falls. Inverse relationship there. Consumer expectations. If I believe that milk is going to be more expensive in the future, I'm going to buy more now. And so demand is going to shift right for milk as a result. And then finally, change in income. If I have more money, as long as this is a normal good, which it is, the demand is going to shift to the right. If milk was seen as an inferior good, meaning the less money you have, the more likely you're going to buy it. When I have more money, I'm going to buy less milk if it's seen as an inferior good. Okay, so those are all of your shifters of demand. Hopefully that rattled loose a couple of those concepts in your mind. Again, we'll go over them more specifically in class in our emphasis lecture. 2.2, supply. Take all of that you know about demand. Same thing applies to supply here. It's everything you know from macroeconomics just carried over. Remember, the law of supply is a direct relationship between price and quantity. So when price rises, the quantity supplied will rise because business sees that as more potential profit. Hey, if something's more expensive, I'm going to supply more to the market because I can get more money per sale on that item. Remember, a change in supply is different than a change in quantity supplied. Quantity supplied is changing when there's a change in price. So the price, for example, goes from 10 to maybe 20. It might go from 100 units to 200 units as a result. That's an increase in quantity supplied. That's very different than saying one of these determinants happens and it shifts supply to the right or shifts supply to the left. Let's take a look at your shifters of supply. You have resource prices. The resource price of producing the good that you're producing goes down, we're going to supply more of that because it's more profitable. Supply shifts to the right and vice versa. So that inverse relationship there. Technology, remember, is always seen as a good thing. So whenever there's a technological innovation, supply is going to shift to the right. Taxes are a harmful thing. When taxes rise, supply is going to shift left. When taxes fall, supply is going to shift right. Remember, it's all about the profitability of the firm. If it's making them more profitable, supply shifts right. If it's making them less profitable, supply shifts left. So taking that into account, look at subsidies. When subsidies are added to the market, that's the government giving businesses money to operate. supply is going to shift to the right. When subsidies are removed, supply will shift to the left. Price of other goods. Remember, price of other goods are signaling. So when the price goes up for something else I could produce, that's more attractive. I'm going to produce that other thing. I'm going to supply less of this thing, an inverse relationship in the price of other goods. And then finally, producer expectation. If I expect that, this is going to be a really popular product in the near future, then I'm going to supply more of it now so I can take advantage of that in the future. Those are all of your determinants or shifters of supply. Again, hopefully that rattled loose some of those ideas and concepts from long, long ago, from days of yore. All right, finally, our new concept for Unit 2, which is elasticity of demand. Elasticity is simply the sensitivity of a change or a change in quantity demanded based on a change in price. In other words, how sensitive are consumers to a change in price? If price goes up, are they going to react very directly to that? Or are they going to be like, you know what, I still need the product, so I'm going to still buy it. So if something is highly elastic, it's very sensitive to a change in price. There's going to be dramatic changes in consumer behavior. And if something's highly inelastic, then consumers are going to continue to buy something no matter what the price is. Okay? So it answers this question: why do furniture stores have all the sales that gas stations rarely do? You're never going to go past a gas station, they're going to have a blowout sale 50% off gasoline, right? But a furniture store always is having a sale. The answer, of course, is furniture is elastic and gasoline is inelastic. Furniture is going to be very sensitive and responsive to a change in price, so a lowering in price could increase revenue. And gasoline is going to be insensitive to price. I will charge the highest price I possibly can because that means maximum revenue. If I lower the price, I'll probably sell the same amount of gasoline. All right, so let's dig into this. The law of demand and elasticity. As prices rise, we know the law of demand, quantity demanded falls and vice versa, right? That's the law of demand. But what elasticity answers is a question of how much. Not all goods are alike. Some are more sensitive to a change in price, while others are not sensitive to a change in price at all. It all depends on the elasticity of demand. So, price elasticity of demand, for those of you who love definitions, here it is. It measures consumer responsiveness to price changes. The price goes up. Are people going to buy a whole lot less of that item? Or are people going to continue to buy it? If they buy a whole lot less, elastic. If they continue to buy it, inelastic. Okay? So, let's start with inelastic demand. Here we have this beautiful cartoon, which is like from the 1930s. I was very excited when I found it. Milk is 80 cents here. She's very excited. Got the motion. Somebody even colored it with red crayon. Look at that. And then on the other side, the price goes up to $2.40. She's sad. Sweat's falling off of her, but she still needs it, so she's going to continue to buy it. That defines what inelastic demand is. Prices change, but quantity demanded does not. So, what does inelastic demand look like? It's actually a very, very steep curve, right? Because quantity demanded is insensitive, inelastic, insensitive, inelastic, insensitive to a change in price. So as you can see here, price went up from P to PT, and quantity went down very little from Q to QT. Law of demand still holds. There's not a very big change in the quantity demanded. Price went up, and it didn't really change consumer behavior all that much. So price goes up, there's a small decrease in quantity demanded, vice versa. When price falls, there's a very small increase in quantity demanded. I'm not going to do a sale if it's not going to result in a whole lot more sales. I'm actually going to lose revenue if I do that, right? So why is this the case? Because people will buy it no matter what. Some examples of this: gasoline, right? You need it no matter what. If there's a sale on gasoline, you're going to buy the same amount. Gasoline is $3 or $4. Some people might start riding their bicycles to work, but most people are going to continue to buy that gasoline. Milk, diapers, medical care, right? If medical care goes up in price and you break your arm, you're not going to sit there and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't see a doctor about this broken arm. No, you're going to continue to go there no matter what the change in price is, right? So, what do these all have in common? Here are your characteristics: goods that have inelastic demand. First of all, they have very few substitutes, right? If gasoline goes up in price, it's not like I can go and pour like, I don't know, uh, olive oil in my tank and still run my car, right? I have no substitutes. I have to get gasoline or nothing at all, and my car doesn't work. A second thing is it's a necessity, right? If toilet paper goes up in price, I still need toilet paper. I need paper towels. We just saw that, right? So it can go dramatically up in price, and I'm going to still buy it because it's a necessity to me. Another one is it's a really small portion of of income. Like if a stick of bubble gum or the like juicy fruit gum packs goes up from like 25 cents to 50 cents, well, it's still very little money. So it's not going to change your behavior all that much. And then it's required now rather than later, right? If you can't afford to do price shopping when your car's about to run out of gas, right? You're not going to look around for all the different prices. You're going to go to whatever gas station is closest to you because you need it now. You cannot wait. Now, whenever we talk elasticity, we actually define this using an elasticity coefficient, which sounds a lot fancier than it is. All it is your percent change in quantity over your percent change in price. All right, how much did your quantity change versus how much did your price change? So here, my quantity changed by 5%, so that would be 5. I'm gonna get a little marker here, 5. My price changed by 20% when that happened, so 5 divided by 20. And so that is going to give me what, 1/5 or 0.2. It's going to give me a very low or small coefficient as a result. So change in quantity over your change in price is going to give you that correct answer. And so an inelastic good is always going to have a coefficient that is less than 1. Why? Because the change in quantity is going to be lower than the change in price, which will always give you a fraction, right? So again, you just take your percent change of quantity, 5%, divided by your percent change in price to give you that coefficient. Or you just look at it and say, hey, that's really steep. Kind of looks like an I, huh? I, inelastic, insensitive to a change in price. Wow. All right, moving on. Elastic demand is a little bit different. For elastic demand, we are very sensitive to a change in price. So here you see this guy, looks at cola, good price. Gets a whole lot of that. And then the price goes up to $3, and he's like, get it. Look at him. He's angry. Little clouds of dust are rising up, shaking his fists at the world, right? He's definitely not going to buy that. Sensitive to a change in price. Okay. So what is elastic demand? Elastic demand is quantity demand is sensitive to a change in price. It is a flattened out curve, right? As you can see here, our demand curve is very flat. It's not steep like inelastic. So inelastic kind of looks like an I. This flat one kind of looks like an E. If you put like a line at the top of this, that's a stretch. Sorry about that. Stretch, elastic. All right. So it's a very flat curve. If the price goes up, there's going to be a very large decrease in the quantity demand. Hey, that's too expensive. I'll just wait to purchase this. It's not important to me. I'll wait, right? So large decrease in quantity demanded. If the price goes down, it's on sale. Oh my goodness, this is on sale. That's amazing. We are very sensitive to that change in price for a specific good. The price goes down, there's going to be a large increase in quantity demanded as a result. Why? ¿Por qué en español? Because people are changing their buying tendencies based on price. They are goods where people shop based on price or do price comparison shopping. Examples are soda pop, like the cartoon, boats, when you're going to buy your yacht, you're going to wait for the best price on a yacht. Beef, right, is very sensitive to a change in price. People look at beef and like, hey, if it's cheaper, I'll buy it. If not, I'll buy chicken instead. Real estate, very sensitive price, huge portion of your income. One of the biggest purchases you're going to make. You're going to wait for that change in price. Pizza, etc. So, what do all these seemingly unrelated products have in common? Here are your characteristics of elastic demand goods. First, there are many substitutes. I can afford to shop around for prices because I don't need that exact product. I can get a variety of products, and really it doesn't matter. Like we are talking with beef. I can get beef, or I can get chicken, or I can get pork, or I can get, bologna. There's a lot of things that I can get instead of beef. I consider it a luxury, which is our second one. Luxuries, oftentimes people wait until, the price changes and then they're like, you know what, maybe it's time to do that vacation. I got a great deal on it. Also, normally these are a large portion of your income. If it's a really high price item like a house, You're going to wait until you can get the best possible price. Speaking of waiting, you have plenty of time to decide, right? You're like, you know what? I don't need it now. I can wait. It's not like gasoline. I need it right now. And so I can wait. And if the price goes down, I'm going to buy it. And if the price goes up, I'm not going to buy it. Goods that are very sensitive to a change in price. Elasticity coefficient also applies here. It's the same equation as the elasticity coefficient for inelastic demand. Simply a percent change in quantity over your percent change in price. So for this one, I would take my percent change in quantity, which is decreasing. We don't really care about positive or negative right here. 15. We will later on when we look at different elasticities. 15 divided by my change in price, which is going up 10, 10, and that's going to give me 1.5. And that is going to show me that it's highly elastic. In fact, whenever you have elastic demand, it is going to have a coefficient that is greater than 1. Why? Because a percent change in quantity is going to be larger than the percent change in price because people respond very dramatically to a change in price. Okay, that's the reason, of course, that there are sales on certain items. I put it on sale, it decreases in price, people buy a whole lot more of it, and I can still have an increase in total revenue. Okay, here are a couple of items. What do you think? Is beef elastic or inelastic? Gasoline, is it elastic or inelastic? Real estate, elastic or inelastic? Medical care, elastic, inelastic? Electricity, elastic or inelastic? And then gold, elastic and inelastic. Well, here are your various elasticity coefficients. For beef, it's elastic. In fact, highly elastic, 1.27. People are very sensitive to a change in price of beef, mainly because it has so many substitutes. Gasoline, highly inelastic, zero point 0.2. I have no substitute for gasoline. We're going to buy it no matter what. Real estate, highly elastic. People wait until they can get the best possible price. Medical care, very inelastic. Some people put things off because it's expensive, but most people will continue to purchase it no matter what. Electricity is the most inelastic good or service that we have in the United States because what are you going to do if you don't have electricity? You're just going to keep paying that bill. And then gold is highly elastic. In fact, it's the most elastic of all of our goods because you don't really need gold. All right. There are other types of elasticity. We'll go through these quickly. Unit elastic means that the percent change in quantity sorry, results in the same percent change in price, right? In other words, they're exactly the same. So the coefficient is going to be 1 because the percent change in quantity would be 10%. And the percent change in price would be 10%. And we call that unit elastic. It's a perfect 45-degree curve. Perfectly elastic is when the price change results in an infinite change in quantity. Your coefficient is infinity because your change in quantity is infinite. Your change in price is specific, right? So if you divide infinity by anything, it's still infinity. That's the idea there. Okay, and perfectly elastic is just when we have a fixed price, right? That price is set, price ceiling or price floor. You cannot sell at any other price. So as a result, it's perfectly elastic. Then finally, there's perfectly inelastic. So when a change in price results in no change in quantity at all. So change in quantity will be 0. When you divide 0 by anything, it's still 0. So your coefficient is going to be 0. It's going to be a vertical curve, and it's whenever we have a fixed quantity of something. Price goes up, it doesn't mean I buy more or less because there's only so many to buy, right? So there you go, unelastic, downward sloping demand curve. Perfectly elastic is horizontal, and then perfectly inelastic is vertical. Put it all together and you get this nice little helpful chart. I recommend taking a screenshot of this, maybe getting a nice view of my face as well when you're doing that screenshot. Shows you all of the different curves, talks about the type of elasticity, and then talks about the coefficients that go with them. That's going to be important for you. Okay, so the question is this demand curve elastic or inelastic? And the answer is actually depends. If you look at it, you might say, hey, that's unit elastic. It looks like it's 45 degrees, but you need data. So let's check it out. If we use a coefficient, let's say the price changes by 50% and the quantity changes by 10%. What kind of a coefficient do we have? Well, quantity will be 10 over percent change in price, which would be 50 or 1/5. 0.2 is highly inelastic. In fact, at the bottom of demand curve, it's always more inelastic because it's a lower price. We're talking the change from a dollar to 75 cents isn't going to impact your buying metric all that much. But at the top of the curve, a change in price of like maybe only 10% might result in a change in quantity of 100%. So I take 100 divided by 10, my elasticity coefficient is 10, which is highly elastic. Why? Well, it's really, really high price. And that price lowers. We say, hey, that's a great deal. It was normally a very high price, and people are more sensitive to that. What's the point? The point is simply elasticity varies along a linear demand curve. It's different depending on where you're at. So you can't just look at something and guess its elasticity. You need the actual quantities for every single range. It is not a slope. So don't apply your fancy, what is that, geometry, calculus? I don't know. Don't apply math. You need the percent changes in order to calculate this. All right, final thing we'll talk about is a total revenue test. The total revenue test is a way to measure the change in or an elasticity of something based on total revenue alone. So, what does this look like? Well, total revenue, remember, is just price times quantity. That's your revenue. And every time you have an equilibrium, you have a price, dot, dot, dot over to the price, and you have a quantity. So, price times quantity will give you your total revenue, right? So, a relatively inelastic revenue will have a change in prices caused by a change in supply, right? So supply will shift left. Price is higher. When price goes up, there's a very slight change in my actual change in quantity. And so as a result, my total revenue is going to be bigger. But when it's relatively elastic, when the price goes up, even a small amount, look, it's only going up barely any when I dash that over to price. We have a dramatic change in quantity. So my total revenue goes from this big yellow box to this tiny red box. Total revenue is going to fall. In other words, with inelastic curves, price goes up, total revenue goes up. Price goes down, total revenue goes down. That's why gasoline doesn't go on sale. If I lower the price, I'm going to lower my total revenue. I'm going to lose money. I'm not going to do it. But couches always go on sale because with elastic demand, a change in price, a decrease in price going on sale results in an increase in total revenue. By putting something on sale, I get more money as a result. Right? The total revenue test looks like this. Shows the change in price will impact total revenue. Inelastic demand, price increase results in a decrease or increase in total revenue. Sorry. Increase, increase. Inelastic, it forms an I. Both of them are going up. Nice, huh? If price decreases, total revenue is going to decrease. Decrease, decrease, forms an I because both of them are going down. Elastic demand, if there's an increase in price, is going to result in a decrease in total revenue. So firms resist raising the price because they worry they'll lose profit. In fact, oftentimes with these types of goods, they will have them on perpetual sale because a decrease in the price results in an increase in total revenue. And then, of course, unelastic change in price results in no change in total revenue. Okay, so you can see here when price goes down from like 90 to 85, my total revenue goes from 270 to 340. So price goes down, total revenue goes up. Price goes down, total revenue goes up. That must be elastic because they're moving in opposite directions. There you go. All right, so is the range between A and B elastic or inelastic? Well, we know the change here is 50%. And we know 10 times 10 gives us a total revenue of 1,000. $10 times 100. 10 times 100 is 1,000. When the price changes, it goes down here. 5 times 225. So 5 times 225 is going to be $1,125 in total revenue. This means that when price decreased, my total revenue went up. Price went from 10 to 5. My total revenue went from 1,000 to 1,125. That means it must be elastic. As one way to find it, if you're given price and quantities, you can find elasticity by just saying, hey, if price goes up, does total revenue go up, inelastic, or down, elastic? Remember, elastic is always an inverse relationship, whereas inelastic is direct. Okay, same thing can be applied to our actual coefficient. I can take my coefficient, change in quantity, 125, over my change in price, 50. And I know that that results, 125 divided by 50, results in a coefficient that's greater than 1. So it must be elastic. Two ways to figure that out. Okay, that's it. Jump on to Khan Academy and complete 2.1 through 2.3. It's the determinants of price, elasticity, and the total revenue rule. And I will see you in class. Peace.